Hey, my name is Ed Walsh. I'm glad you could be here today with me. What I do is I teach at St. Clair Hospital, and I work there as a nurse and as a group leader. And what I teach is a program of mindfulness combined with cognitive therapy, wrapped in a metaphor of sailing. Now, I've written a couple books on it. One of them is captaining. It's called The Voyage to Freedom. And we're going to talk about what freedom is in mindfulness in this meditation. And another book that I wrote is a workbook, a 30-day workbook on meditation that helps patients, students, anybody who wants to get out of their racing, agitated mind, their fearful mind, and bring themselves fully into the present moment. The present moment is a place that's hard to get to, and I'm sure you've discovered that yourself. It's hard even to watch this video because your thoughts are going off to lunch and your thoughts are going off about what your job is like. Being in the present moment is a skill, a difficult skill. I know we have lots of mindfulness practice being taught around the country, and a lot of people look at it as like a hippie on the hilltop smoking dope, just hey, that's not mindfulness. Mindfulness is a training. It is a practice we teach our patients, a practice I teach myself every day. I have to battle for my head. I have a history of depression. I've been on the medications. You know, how many of us have? Millions. But this practice teaches you that medications just get you to square one. If you want to get past square one, you have to have a way to let go of thoughts, to recognize that thoughts are not you. You're behind the thoughts. Those thoughts are just thrown up to your head. Neurologists talk about the two parts of our brain. We've got the old brain in the back, the amygdala or the hypothalamus, and that's the fight or flight brain. And it just throws stuff up. We get thousands of thoughts, and 95% of those thoughts are unconscious. They're just taking you over as you sit there. However, in the front of your brain, you've got a neurocortex. This is the higher part of your brain. A neurocortex is conscious, aware. It knows that you're in the present moment. It knows that thoughts are popping up. And that's what our practice is about, teaching you to get to that place, to get behind your thoughts, and to start running your life from there. So I teach a variety of practices to get there, but the first thing that I teach is a metaphor of sailing. Here's my sailing ships over here. Now, imagine the great creator dropped you in the ocean and gave you this ship, okay? And said to you, look, I don't care where you sail. All I want from you is for you to be the captain of this ship. Now, this isn't going to be easy for you, the creator says, because I'm going to give you a crew that's going to help you sail that ship until you learn how to become the captain of this ship. You see, to be a captain, to be in the present moment, you've got to train yourself to be here. Your subconscious mind, until that happens, takes you over. It's a fight or flight mind. A part of that mind is an escape mechanism. It's the flight system. Somebody's chasing you, a bear's going to eat you. You don't have time to talk to the bear. You turn around and you run, okay? That's one of your crew members on board this ship. Another one of those crew members is the agitated part of yourself. That part of you is that part if somebody's going to attack you, you attack them back, you fight. It's the fight or flight mind. So the whole idea of this metaphor is understanding that we are like this ship out in the ocean. We don't have a motor, so we have to constantly adjust ourselves. And where are we sailing to? We're trying to sail and live our life fully in the present moment. We're trying to sail here. Yet our thoughts and our feelings knock us off course. I'm trying to be with you. I'm trying to do this DVD. But you know, I have a drifter mind that says, oh, this is a little scary for me doing this. And my pirate mind says, who the hell cares? These people won't like what you're doing anyway. And so I'm constantly adjusting so I can push through those thoughts and those feelings to bring myself fully into this present moment. That's what we call being a captain. Now, this metaphor is simple. You know, what we teach is that adults, Children are always in the present moment, but adults have to fight for the present moment. And we do this by using all sorts of tricks and strategies to sail this ship. Again, as I said, our ship is always going like this, pushed about by winds and waves, not only in the world, but in ourselves. Our job is to get behind it all and start making choices from what we call our higher place. Now, in our metaphor, we use the helm of the ship. That's the steering wheel, like steering wheel of a car. If you're going to sail your ship, you've got to be at the helm. If you're going to drive your car, you don't want to sit in the back seat. You want to be behind the steering wheel. Yet, most people don't do that. We get up in the morning, we're foggy-headed, we had a tough night, or we're confused, or we're worried about our job, or we're worried about something. So we're actually letting the motor of our car take us around rather than us directing ourselves behind our steering wheel into our day. Because we are unconscious. Our subconscious mind is driving us. That fight or flight mind is driving us. And our job is to get behind our thoughts. That's what this mindfulness practice is about. Our thoughts are here. Even as I'm doing this video, it's like that. What I have to do is take a breath and back up. That is my practice. And where am I backing up to? The locus of control at the helm of my ship. Is this making sense to you folks so far? Does this sound good to you? Okay. So that's the basic idea of our metaphor, that we are like ships at sea. We don't have any control over the ocean, but we do have control over our ship if we use a practice to get us to that place behind our thoughts. Now, this practice also recognizes that we not only have a higher place behind our thoughts, we have a higher self. I mentioned it as a neurocortex that knows we're in the present moment and can differentiate between being here, or being here. Those two parts of our mind. We call that the captain in our practice. And the whole part of this practice is learning to be a captain more often than we are what we call a drifter and a pirate. Let me go over these. These are your crew members aboard your ship. Now, the first metaphor that we use, and we'll show this to you, is the drifter mind. The drifter mind is the flight mind. The more often you avoid things, the more often you seek comfort, even though comfort's going to cause you trouble. We have patients on our unit who come in with depression, and they spend their time in bed and they don't want to get up because they just want to protect themselves from the world. That is the drifter mind. It's that part of us that believes that the ocean should always be calm and always be safe, and we shouldn't have problems, and we do have problems, we're going to hide out in our bed or some other place. And again, this is a normal part of our brain, constantly talking to us. Our drifter mind talks in the wimpy, whiny little voice in our head. Poor me, life sucks, I've had problems, I can't do anything. Now, drifter mind is a mind where we are constantly using this primitive escape mechanism so that we're feeding it avoidance, we're feeding it weakness and sorrow and pity. My wife used to always comment when I became a drifter that my body would change. You walk differently, you talk differently. It's a holistic kind of way of dealing with the world. And most of the thoughts that you're getting as a drifter mind are thoughts of avoidance. We use an acronym with our patients, right down to D, all the way down. For example, difficulty. A drifter avoids difficulty. A drifter remembers pain and sorrow. It doesn't, you can go back 30 years and they're still complaining about grandma didn't give them a cookie. That's what the drifter mind is about. It is constantly stuck on the past, going over the past again and again. Its thoughts are constantly ruminating, going around in a circle. Poor me, why me? See, the drifter believes that thinking problems, thinking through them, talking to everybody in the world about them, it helps solve them. Well, what we discover, that's really not what happens. Even when we're looking for solutions, and when we overlook for solutions, we get stuck in them and we can't get away. Our practice is a practice of backing up and seeing that the present moment is part of solving those problems that you had in the past because you learned to let them go. The drifter mind. The drifter mind is an irrational mind. That's why we talk a lot about cognitive therapy in our practice. Irrational means it has a view of the world that doesn't work. Again, people come into the hospital and they say, get me a pill. I want a pill that makes my life happy, everything will be okay, and I won't have any problems. No, ain't going to happen. That's unrealistic. You're still going to have problems. You're going to get old, sick, and die just like everybody else. You see, but in the captaining metaphor, a captain sails whatever the issues of life are. Okay? That's the skill of a captain. Good times, bad times, a captain sails. Bad times, drifters hide out in their bed and avoid and feel sorry and make it worse. Okay. Fear, drifters are constantly caught up in their fear. They listen to their fear. They don't push through. They feel bad. They feel sorry. They feel put upon. Thoughts, again, drifters think and they worry and they think. And I've had patients, I've said, you know, how does worrying help you? Well, if I stop worrying, something bad would happen. It's an addiction of the mind. Okay, in reality, drifters hate reality. They hate the fact that the ocean sometimes is going to send you storms. It's going to send you conflicts. See, a captain of a ship faces a storm and accepts it as a challenge. You know, all right, I got a storm. I could either suffer this storm twice by running away from it, or I could suffer it once by learning to deal with it. Now, all of this, you might be saying to yourself, what does this have to do with mindfulness practice? The mindfulness practice as we're going through this is recognizing that sometimes your drifter is taking you over. As I started this DVD, my drifter mind was saying, oh, these people are going to think I'm a stupid idiot. I mean, that's the part of me that's talking in my head. So if I want to be a captain, I have to push through that. Will I make mistakes in this? Sure. The captains, and we'll see in this little metaphor, make more mistakes than anybody. The drifter is the one that doesn't make them. They hide out in their bed or under their bed when anything tough happens. Now, reality. One of the wonderful quotes that I got for drifters that I use with patients came from Grace Hooper, was a woman inventor, ship inventor, brilliant woman. And she always said, a ship is safe in port, but that's not what ships are built for. Ships are built to sail, and you're built to sail. And you're built to battle for your life and sail in this ocean that we have right in front of you, not a fantasy ocean. Now, the other crew member, now this is just one crew member you're battling with. The other crew member is your pirate mind. Your pirate is the agitated mind. It's also in the hypothalamus. It's also throwing up thousands of things. While the drifter mind is about comfort, the pirate mind is about pleasure. And it wants pleasure at any cost. I'll be brief with the pirate. The pirate is a reactor. It's the ADHD mind. It's, you know, when we do meditation, you can tell right off the bat. I have somebody sit there and follow their breath for 1 minute. They're like, oh my God, 1 minute. I can't do that. That's too long, 1 minute. Because they're getting hit with this pirate thought, this agitated autonomic thought in their brain that just overwhelms them. As we'll see with the captain, a captain working with this crew has to learn to delay that pirate's response. The pirate wants me to flip out and to punch somebody. Mindfulness is being aware of that feeling, taking a breath and letting it go, not allowing it to run your life. There's a great movie, the Dharma Brothers, about meditation in a prison in Alabama, where these violent men learn to control that pirate part of themselves by meditation, by learning the skill of delaying and not running away from what they see. Okay? Then that brings us to the captain. And this is what we're striving to do. This is what we've been working on for 15 years here at St. Clair. The captain mind, again, I put it at the neurocortex. Who knows where it is? The captain mind is that part of us that is aware of being aware. That's aware of these thoughts that are popping out. And that's hard because one of the neurologists I talked to said that we get an average of 200,000 thoughts a day. Now, I've heard different numbers on that, but that's not important. What we know is there's thousands of thoughts constantly taking us over. And if we're unaware of those thoughts, then we're victims of them. They're pulling us around, and we're feeling sad, and we're feeling mad, and we're thinking we're making the choice to do that, but we're not. It is that we're habitually going round and round in that same way all the time, and we've got to find a way to push through it. The captain is that part of us that does it. Okay, let's go over the captain. The captain, first of all, is a choice maker in this acronym. A choice maker means, look, I take full responsibility for moving my hand right now, taking a breath right now. That is a captain. That's my choice. I'm aware of it. I could make other choices. I could move this hand rather than this hand, but it's my choice. I take full responsibility. See, drifters don't take responsibility for themselves. You know, they blame the world. They're looking for somebody to save them. They come in the hospital. You know, when I have a group, I tell them, hey, I can't save you. There's nobody here getting saved by me. But I'll help you find yourself if you want to battle for yourself. Okay, and that's more than medication, we tell them. Your choice is that, you know, you're anxious. And, you know, they run out of the group and they say, get me a benzo, get me something to calm my nerves. Well, in our practice, what we teach them is to delay getting that benzo. I mean, you know, you need that thing for anxiety, it'll help you, but the benzo doesn't teach you anything. This practice is learning how to sail even when you have anxiety. Maybe you can delay 10, 15 minutes for the benzo. If you can do that, then you're teaching yourself that you don't have to be dominated by your anxiety, your fear, your frustration, that you can learn to sail through it. As you can see, the first thing a practice does with choice making is a captain feels these thoughts, sees these thoughts, and decides which thoughts to choose and which thoughts to let go. Okay, I want to punch her. Not a good thought. Take a breath and make another choice. That's what a captain does. A captain reviews. Again, this is at the helm of the ship now that I'm talking about. Back here, behind your thoughts, they're coming. You're making the choice as to which ones you want to use and which ones you don't. Okay? Or you're creating different thoughts, but you're doing it with full awareness. And awareness is the second part of the acronym of captaining. A captain has to be aware, attentive. And you have to battle for this attentiveness. If you notice, I'm kind of going rapidly with this, but I'm trying to stay focused by using my breath as the wheel of my ship, as the helm of my ship. This is what we teach our patients, that as I'm talking to you, I'm trying not to be in my head. My head's a damn crazy place to be. So what I'm constantly doing is finding my breath, bringing it in, and letting it go. That's a mindfulness practice. As strong a mindfulness practice as sitting out and following your breath with sitting meditation. And I do a lot of sitting meditation as well. But that is our practice. We are trying to be aware as much as we can of the choices that we're making. Now, one of the differences in between a captain, drifter, and pirate that we ask patients to look at is the P of captaining. The P is purpose. We call it worthy purpose. You see, drifters, I don't care how much they whine and feel pity and self-sorrow, they're just trying to get something for themselves. Same with the pirate. They are primitive parts of our brain that just think about themselves. Okay, the pirate's just about me. I can lie to you and say all kinds of things, but it's just about me. The captain, however, has to find a worthy purpose beyond themselves. Because if you don't, you get caught up in that. See, the pirate and drifter are the ego mind. The captain has to find a way to be involved with other people, to connect with other people. When I'm in my groups, I'm part of that group. I'm not the captain of the world and they're lowly peons. We're all captains struggling to take control of our life. Helen Keller, who's one of my heroes in life, she said that, we have the wrong idea what happiness is. We think happiness is accumulating things, getting new cars and new homes and new girlfriends. But that's not what it is. Happiness is having a worthy purpose beyond ourselves, connecting with other people, finding that our pain and sorrow and our struggle is something that we can learn from so we can help somebody else with their pain and sorrow. Now, we see patients who are getting better, even though they're extremely depressed when they come in and they're reaching out to other patients to help them. We know that they're starting to move outside of that stuff. They're starting to connect with other people, so they're going to get stronger themselves. That is this practice, awareness. Awareness of even your pain and your suffering. Okay. T in captain is important because T refers to an actual nautical term that we talk a lot about in our groups. The nautical term is tacking. Tacking, if you've ever been a sailor, is that you're in the ocean, as I mentioned, and you're trying to go this way, but currents or waves are pushing you this way, and what you have to do is come back. Or they're pulling you this way, and you have to come back. In our meditations and all our varieties of meditations, what we're teaching people to do is stay focused on their breath or some other object of awareness, and when their thoughts or feelings, anxieties, frustrations take them away, take a breath and come back. You see, no human stays fully in the present moment. Just like a ship at sea, a sailing ship can't sail straight. There's just on rare occasion. The winds and waves are constantly pushing it about, so you're constantly making adjustments. Okay, so same with us. I'm trying to be here with this talk, but random thoughts are coming up. I got a pain in my leg, my ear's ringing from an old scuba diving accident. It's really loud today. So you keep coming back. You don't let any of that take you over. You tack with it. You see, with a drifter, if they're feeling bad, their ship's like this all day long. They're stuck like this. Or when they're agitated, they're like this all day long. In this practice, you're aware that you are agitated or depressed, and you come back. You see, it is repetitive in a good way. We're constantly trying to battle. And meditation is a battle. It is not, that you sit down, you meditate, and, oh, the world's great now. This is something you're going to have to battle for the rest of your life. We call it a voyage. That's why we have the 30-day practice, because you have to practice this training just like any other training. Riding a bike, you have to practice. You have to learn how to do it. All kinds of practices require that you develop something that gets to that neurocortex, so that neurocortex can push through the fear and the doubt and the frustration. One of the great meditators that I see, again, this is my view of the world, was Roberto Clemente. He was one of my heroes. Greatest baseball player in the world to me. But, when he would get up to the plate and he'd have his bat in his hand, and you'd see him take a deep breath and let it out. And what's he focused on? He's focused on that ball. But there's millions of fans on TV, people screaming and all kinds of stuff. But he's focused here. And that's, again, what we're asking patients to do. Find that breath, push through your fear, and keep on practicing this throughout your day, not just with meditation. We do a variety of other practices to help us stabilize ourselves in that present moment. We do a captain's walk, where we ask patients to walk with assertiveness, put their chests out, breathe in through their nose and out through their mouth, and walk through the halls. They might feel like a wimpy mollusk. But when we ask them to do that walk, again, they're pushing through their stuff. And one of the things we found with this practice is that even if you act like a captain, you become a captain. You act strong, you get strong. But again, walking like this, feeling sorry for yourself, and then even engaging. We have to be careful to engage. Poor you, how are you feeling? That's okay in the beginning, but then we've got to ask them to push through that. Let's get up. Let's push through that anxiety. Let's let that pill go. Let's get out here and let's be in that present moment. All right. The next thing in captaining, besides the T, is assertiveness. What we find is there's always three ways to deal with everything. One is the passive way of the drifter, who hardly uses enough energy to get up, to get out of bed, and they try a little bit and they quit. Or there's the aggressive energy of the pirate, who's just angry and pushing through, and with a very short attention span, really can't process much because when they're sitting there doing the meditation, every part of their body is moving. So it's going to take them a longer time. I told you that prison in Alabama, these guys wanted to just burst out of there, but they were able to hang on to that part of themselves to stay there. A captain has to learn to be assertive. Assertive means that you have to use some energy to get out of this head, to back yourself up. You don't want to use too much, you go to the pirate, or too little to the drifter. You have to find a way to keep bringing yourself here. So that's why we use a variety of practices on our unit to help people come out of their stuff. Not think themselves out, but grab onto what we call an object of awareness. Now we even use, here's one of my power straws here. We even use straws in a little mindfulness exercise on our unit. They sit in a circle and they pass a straw. And I'd say, be here and let it go. And they do it in a little ritualistic way. We just use that to show them any task that you do, if you're totally focused on that task, you're not in your head. And at the end of this, because they'll say, well, this is stupid. I paid money to come to a hospital to pass a straw. Well, what they learn is, at the end of that, they'll say, you know, I wasn't thinking about my pain and frustration. Because here's the practice of mindfulness. You cannot focus on two things at one time. If they're focused on that straw, not to drop the straw, and I change the cadence so that, you know, if they get too into mindlessness, they will drop the straw. So they try to stay aware of what they're doing. That reduces their depression. That allows them to get behind their thoughts. And then we teach them that any task during the day that they do will reduce their anxiety and their depression if they turn it into something mindful. When I go home and I make my meal today, I'm doing Chinese, I try to do that following my breath, cutting my vegetables, being fully in the moment, letting everything else go. You know, when I cut my grass, it's an ordinary thing that I try to turn into an extraordinary thing by doing it fully aware, fully mindful, being in the moment, being with my step. Again, silly, stupid, people will say, but look, the present moment is a gift. That's why they call it a present moment. But you've got to grab this gift and you've got to fight for it. The alternative is you stay stuck in your past or in your agitation or your worry about the future. The pirate's always focused on what's going to happen and what I can get. Then the drifter is always whining about what they did. Look, past is gone. You can't do a damn thing about it. Future's not here. But you can live here. This is the only place you can live. This is the only place you can do anything. My teacher's always pounding on things because when I go to a meditation practice, of course, we're drifting. Come back. Come back. I want to get extreme, but this is a battle. People are battling for their lives out there, and they need more than just a medication, a benzo or even an antidepressant that gets them to square one. They need to have the realization that their mind is pliable, that they might be depressed, and even it takes some while with some different mindfulness practices that it doesn't lift that much. But after a time, like any training, it will lift more and more. And that's going to set them on a course that will change their life. Okay, let's end this here. What we've been talking about is a battle that we all go through. This is not just about psych patients or hospitals. I mean, this is something we need to use in our schools, part of your therapy sessions, you know, even on your jobs. Learning to be mindful, learning to be aware is going to make you more productive and a better employee and a better parent. I have two books. One is called Captaining a Voyage to Freedom. It's a story about the many people that I've worked with over the years and how they learned to change their life with the meditation and the mindfulness practice and the voyage of sailing. And the last thing I have for you is the Captain's Quest. The Captain's Quest is one I really enjoy because I've gotten such good feedback from patients and staff. This is a 30-day practice of mindfulness, and it will take you right through the voyage from learning, you know, that you have a helm behind your thoughts, a place where you can go to no matter what's overwhelming you. And it takes a day to day to teach you to be a better captain of your life and a better master of your soul. Why don't we leave it there? Thank you so much for hanging in there with me, and I want you to keep on sailing. Thanks a lot.